Yesterday we did lesson 15 of the workbook of A Course in Miracles. My thoughts are images that I have made. And today we are doing lesson 16. Lesson 16 is, I have no neutral thoughts. I have no neutral thoughts. The idea for today is a beginning step in dispelling the belief that your thoughts have no effect. Everything you see is the result of your thoughts. There is no exception to this fact. Thoughts are not big or little, powerful or weak. They are merely true or false. Those that are true create their own likeness. Those that are false make theirs. There is no more self-contradictory concept than that of, quote, idle thoughts, unquote. What gives rise to the perception of a whole world can hardly be called idle. Every thought you have contributes to truth or to illusion. Either it extends the truth or it multiplies illusions. You can indeed multiply nothing, but you will not extend it by doing so. Besides your recognizing that thoughts are never idle, salvation requires that you also recognize that every thought you have brings either peace or war, either love or fear. A neutral result is impossible because a neutral thought is impossible. There is such a temptation to dismiss fear thoughts as unimportant, trivial, and not worth bothering about that it is essential you recognize them all as equally destructive, but equally unreal. We will practice this idea in many forms before you really understand it. In applying the idea for today, search your mind for a minute or so with eyes closed and actively seek not to overlook any, quote, little, unquote, thought that may tend to elude the search. This is quite difficult until you get used to it. You will find that it is still hard for you not to make artificial distinctions. Every thought that occurs to you, regardless of the qualities that you assign to it, is a suitable subject for applying today's idea. In the practice periods, first repeat the idea to yourself, and then as each one crosses your mind, hold it in awareness while you tell yourself, this thought about blank is not a neutral thought. That thought about blank is not a neutral thought. As usual, use today's idea whenever you are aware of a particular thought that arouses uneasiness. The following form is suggested for this purpose. This thought about blank is not a neutral thought because I have no neutral thoughts. 4 or 5 practice periods are recommended if you find them relatively effortless. If strain is experienced, 3 will be enough. The length of the exercise period should also be reduced if there is discomfort. Lesson 16, I have no neutral thoughts. There's a great saying, you're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. Jesus might have said, you're either part of the absolution or you're part of the problem. Applied to today's idea, I have no neutral thoughts. What that means in terms of our thoughts is thoughts either contribute to your salvation or they delay your salvation. Right? Either a thought is in line or in alignment with Spirit, or the Course would say Holy Spirit, or it's in alignment with the ego, and it's merely blocking your way. And you don't want to block your way. You want thoughts. You want to bring up the thoughts that are conducive to your salvation, or conducive to your peace of mind, and you want to just observe and merely observe without judgment the thoughts that are, we could say, egoic. In a way, this is a kind of mindfulness training. Jesus wants us to become more aware of the thoughts in our mind. But this goes a little bit beyond it in the sense that Jesus is now asking us to not only become aware of the thoughts, but to not to judge the thoughts as good or bad necessarily, not to judge the thoughts as this or that, except we can start to recognize which thoughts are conducive to our peace of mind and which thoughts are not conducive to our peace of mind. And there are no thoughts that are not one or the other of that, right? Either a thought is contributing to right-mindedness. This is something that the way that Jesus puts it, right-minded thinking, or a thought contributes to wrong-minded thinking. Right-minded thinking will align your perception, and we are in the world of perception. It will align our perception more and more with Spirit, with Holy Spirit, until we're ready to transition into the realm of knowledge, which would be God's realm. Or the thoughts will contribute to wrong-minded thinking, which will keep us spinning in circles in ego land indefinitely, until we decide to make another choice. And we know how that's true. If we just look at our life and how we've gotten paralyzed by the egoic thoughts, we know that that's true. And sometimes when we get really deep into the ego, we need something powerful, so to speak, to bring us out of that. Until we get to the point where we are not making wrong-minded choices, right? We're bringing to the fore consistently the right-minded thinking, right-minded choices. Then we don't need to be, so extracted out of our ego paralysis, but we're more living in a place of ever-present joy and well-being. Living in spirit, right? Living in love. But let's read paragraph by paragraph here, and then we'll maybe talk a little bit more. The idea for today, I have no neutral thoughts. The idea for today is the beginning step in dispelling the belief that your thoughts have no effect. Everything you see is the result of your thoughts. There is no exception to this fact. Thoughts are not big or little, powerful or weak. They are merely true or false. Those that are true create their own likeness. Those that are false make theirs. So again, there's a distinction here between creation and making. True thoughts create their own likeness. What are true thoughts? True thoughts are loving thoughts. Jesus does not say that here. But any thought which is of love is true. And that takes part in creation, which is of God. Only God creates, right? That's what Jesus says. Ego makes, God creates. God's creations are all creations of love. The ego's creations are made. The ego makes essentially fear and its offspring, right? Separation and all of its offspring. There is no more self-contradictory concept than that of, quote, idle thoughts, unquote. What gives rise to the perception of a whole world can hardly be called idle. So throughout the course, Jesus is emphasizing the fact that the ego... Hey, bud, let me just finish, okay?
No, but I'm not even building.
Okay, I'm almost ready to go, bud. I'm almost ready to go. Jesus keeps reminding us throughout the course that the ego is powerful indeed, right? The ego is so powerful that it was able to, our minds in alliance with the ego thought system made this whole world. So we don't want to deny the power of the ego. That would be a big mistake. And we also do not want to deny our own, the fact that things do feel real, things do hurt, we have feelings. We don't want to deny those things, but we also want to look at them in light of what Jesus is saying. So this is not a course in denial. I think Jesus says that at some point. This is not a course in denial. Denial is a river in Egypt. No, I'm sorry. That's a really old joke. It's like a dad joke, but a bad dad joke. We do not want to deny what feels real to us, and yet at the same time we want to deny the denial of truth. We want to deny the denial of truth. That's what Jesus is asking us to do. And we want to look at these things in the light of what Jesus is saying. Remember that Jesus is a manifestation of the Holy Spirit. So Jesus and the Holy Spirit are essentially one. And the Course, you could say, is a manifestation of the Holy Spirit because Jesus is giving it. So this Course is a manifestation of Spirit coming through from the place of pure love, unconditional love, to us to help us show the way out of the darkness. And in order to do that, we can't deny how powerful the ego is. That would be a mistake, right? Every thought you have contributes to truth or to illusion. Either it extends the truth or it multiplies illusions. So we're either extending truth or we're making illusions or we're multiplying illusions. You can indeed multiply nothing, but you will not extend it by doing so. So yeah, yes, we can make illusions, multiply illusions. We can live in illusion, but in holding on to those thoughts that multiply illusions, we will not be extending the truth, and we will be just digging the hole deeper, or staying stuck in the hole that is already there, not getting out of the hole. Besides you recognizing that thoughts are never idle, salvation requires that you also recognize that every thought you have brings either peace or war, either love or fear. A neutral result is impossible because a neutral thought is impossible. There is such a temptation to dismiss fear thoughts as unimportant, trivial, and not worth bothering about that it is essential you recognize them all as equally destructive, but equally unreal. So this is that point, and this is where this is not a course in what is called spiritual bypassing. Jesus is not suggesting that we spiritually bypass. So we don't want to deny the fear. We don't want to deny the power of those thoughts, of those egoic, fearful thoughts. Not at all. We don't want to just say, "Oh, well, no, I don't have any fear." The fear is nothing. It's not, that would be dishonest. We want to acknowledge, yes, I am very afraid right now. I feel fear right now. The fear is coming up. We don't want to deny that, but we just want to recognize that it is unreal, or at least be open to the fact that it is unreal. Right? When you feel sad, you don't want to deny that you feel sad. You don't want to say, "No, I'm not sad. I'm enlightened. I can't be sad. I can't be crying right now. I'm not really crying. I'm not feeling misery right now. I'm not feeling depression. I'm not feeling despair. I'm not feeling..." Jesus is saying, no, don't deny that's happening. Don't deny where you're at. That's where you're at right now. And that's fine. No judgment. Don't try to be beyond where you really are at the moment. And acknowledge the power of the ego. But don't make it real either. You can acknowledge the power of the ego and also say, yes, but I accept what Jesus is telling me. At least I'm open to what he's telling me, that the ego and fear is unreal. All right, and then you just you try to not overlook any thought. You apply this idea to every thought. I have no neutral thoughts. Every thought is either contributing to your journey home or it's blocking the way. And at the very least, this will help us get more in touch with our thoughts and get us more in touch with every little thought. Every little thought that you have is magic. Something like that. All right. Well, anyway, we are rolling along. Hope this was helpful, and we'll see you soon. And Godspeed. Thank you.